This CD contains the opinions and thoughts of certain independent sales directors. The information shared with you by these individuals are their own ideas and strategies regarding the cultivation of a successful independent Mary Kay business. The independent sales directors hope that you find something in this CD to inspire you and to help you succeed in your own independent Mary Kay business. Naturally, your personal results may vary depending on the time and effort you choose to invest in your Mary Kay business. As with any business opportunity, various factors may affect the financial results that are achieved in your Mary Kay business. Therefore, there are no guarantees regarding same.
In this incredible CD, Independent Senior National Sales Director Pat Danforth challenges you to take control of the forces that can shape your life. Not only will you be inspired by Pat's powerful message, you'll be renewed by the fact that by elevating your emotions and decision-making processes, your life and leadership skills can be stronger than you've ever experienced before. Enjoy!
I am very much a Mary Kay traditionalist, and I may say some things today that you have not heard before, and I might say some things that might hurt your little feelers a little bit, and I don't want to hurt your little feelers a little bit, but these are things that I think you need to know. And the first one is turn off your cell phones. Be in the moment. Be in the moment, wherever you are. If you are with a consultant or a prospect or whoever and your cell phone rings and you just feel compelled to answer your cell phone every time it rings, how does it make that person feel? The main thing that Mary Kay taught us was make me feel important. Everyone has a sign on them that says make me feel important. And if that cell phone is more important than the person that you're with at that moment, then the message is huge. You know, your actions speak so much louder than your words possibly could. And I think it all ties together with, this is my acid test for everything. What would Mary Kay do? What would she think? What would she say? What does she ask us to do? She doesn't ask much of us, but she asks some pretty primary things. What would she do? What would she say? What would she think? How would she act? How would she treat this situation? And the other acid test question is, what if everyone? What if everyone brought a baby? What if everyone took one cell phone call? What if everyone's phone rang once? What if everyone just said 5 sentences to the person next to them, you know, when they're sitting on the front row and somebody key is speaking? So I really try and think that, you know, when you have a question in your business, and gosh, you're going to have so many questions, stop and think, what if everyone? And I think that'll give you the answer to just about everything. I began my business in March 1973. How many of you were not born yet? Is that incredible? You were not born when I signed my agreement. That's kind of scary. I was 24 when I signed my agreement, and Tim and I had been married 2 years, and that's my husband in the back, for those of you that didn't get to see him a minute ago. We'd been married for 2 years. He was in the Air Force. He'd been in for 5 years at that point. He'd been to Vietnam and back, and we got married, and he moved me from Columbus, Ohio, straight, do not pass go, no honeymoon, to Big Spring, Texas. And we were there for about 3 years, and during that time we went on a temporary assignment to Montgomery, Alabama. I went to a Mary Kay party. I bought the basic, wrote a check for it, my starter kit, and Tim came home from school that day. He was in a 3-month school. He came home from school, and he had left that morning, and I didn't wear makeup, and he came home, and I was selling it. So it's kind of been like that for 33 years. He got used to it, I guess. He just, you know, he kind of rolled with the flow, but I think we're both really glad that he did. About 2.5 years after I signed my agreement, I became a sales director, and I thought that took me a terribly long time. I thought 2.5 years was just forever. But we moved twice, had a baby. You know, there were some other things happening in our life. And as John Lennon said, life is what happens when you're making other plans. So it's always going to be something. It's always going to be something. And I think the important thing is to not compare yourself with other people's strengths. We always tend to compare our weaknesses with other people's strengths. And I still do that. I think that's a natural thing to do. But I did progress. I will tell you that as a new sales director, I had a lot of obstacles, family obstacles, moving, babies, and all kinds of things. And I made production every other month, occasionally every second month, for about 2 years. And so I'm going to tell you today to not do as I did, but to do as I say. Because honestly, this sounds like, oh, I walked to school uphill both ways in the snow with no shoes. But I didn't have a national. I mean, there were only 2 nationals then. I didn't have a strong leadership ahead of me, and I didn't have any guidance except that I gleaned around me. Now we have the systems in place. We didn't have the technology back then. When I signed my agreement, we didn't have telephone answering machines. So there wasn't such a thing as all of the options that we have now to learn. And the company puts in place a lot of incredible programs for you to work from. When you decide that your life will ultimately be shaped not by conditions, but by your decisions, then in that moment, your life will change forever. And you'll be empowered to take control of the force that shapes your life. Mary Kay said that you need to work with the 20% of your people in your unit that are really working. And the best way to do that is to take your report and block the names and look at who's working. And sometimes it'll surprise you. Somebody that you think really isn't doing anything has ordered 200, 400, 600 every month, but because she's not in your face, lots of questions, you think she's maybe not necessarily working. And the one that's constantly in front of you, yak, yak, yak all the time, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do the other. Look at her black and white. Look at it on the report. And work actively with the 20% that are really doing something. The task of the leader is to get your people from where they have not been to where you see for them to go. You have more of a vision than they have. And the best way to do that is to translate, like your goals for On the Right Track, Honor Society, and so forth, translate that into what do they want at their level. I think it's so important that they do the Perfect Start, Power Start, do 100 faces the first 100 days, whatever those bite-sized things are that you can put out there. If I were you, I would find out exactly what is available for recognition at Career Conference for your unit and for you, and I would be promoting that again and again and again and again. Mary Kay always said, keep it simple. Because if you KISS, K-I-S-S, keep it simple, sweetie, they will do it. The confused mind does nothing. I mean, that's kind of my mantra. The confused mind does nothing. And if there's so many confusing things out there for them, and you're doing this and you're getting that, and you're going here and you're doing this, the confused mind does nothing. Or you have somebody that comes up at the sales meeting in your awarding or something, and she's like, I have no idea why I'm getting this. I want to take it back. I'm like, well, if you don't know what you did to get it, give it back. And we do that sometimes because we're just working, and they surprise us and we get something, and that's really kind of cool. But for the most part, if they're just getting it by accident, they could be getting a whole lot more if they were focusing forward, don't you think? All right. Everyone in your unit needs to know that they count. Even if they don't feel like they're doing a whole lot, they need to know that they count. Because I promise you, it will be a 200 wholesale order sometimes that puts you over the bottom line for a car. Just like it was a 200 wholesale order that got you through DIQ. It's going to be a 200 wholesale order that earns you the Grand Prix. Sometimes you're going to be way over, and that happens too, but there are times when it's going to be that 200 wholesale order, and she is going to be the one that was the most important piece, but all of those people were important pieces. She was just the final one. It might earn you the Cadillac, it might put you on a top director trip. Our first Grand Prix level car, had one order not gone in, we wouldn't have gotten it. But 9 months later, we had a Cadillac. Had one order not gone in on that, we wouldn't have gotten the Cadillac. When we won our first top sales director trip, had one order not gone in, we would not have gotten that top sales director trip. However, we never missed another one for the next 5 years, and then we went national, and of course have been on national sales director trips forever. So it's just that one person that's so important. In 1997, we had a contest for the nationals. I was already a national for 7 years. They had a trip that was the French Polynesia cruise, and had one person not done the one final piece, we wouldn't have gone on that cruise. I mean, and we were a national area, a powerful national area. So each person is important, and they need to realize that. You need to give them the bite-sized pieces to realize that. And part of that, too, is recognizing the different personalities. Are you all familiar with DISC, the dominant, influencing, steady, and conscientious? If you're not, there's lots of information out there, including on the Mary Kay site. But DISC, dominant, is not domineering. It's just they're take-charge people. Influencing is the party animal. She loves influencing people, and she is influenced a lot by other people. Steady is very loyal, very slow to make changes, very family-oriented. And conscientious is the detail person. So let's think about those different qualities in relationship to a skincare class. And I use this for consultants. I say, okay, you're at a skincare class and you've got 4 people that come into your skincare class. The dominant one wants you to start on time, end on time, get to the point. Just give me the facts. Just what's the bottom line? I'll take it all. Or I'll make my decision on whatever I'm going to take. The influencing one comes in and dumps her entire purse of cosmetics on the table, talks through the whole thing, and wants to tell you about every other brand because she just wants attention. She just wants attention. The steady one has used brand X for 20 years, and she's not really sure she's going to change. But if you can really influence her on the benefits of what Mary Kay is going to do for her, she will change, and then she will be your loyal customer. And the conscientious one wants to know what's in the mascara. I'm like, I have no idea. Let's look at the box. I don't need to know that. I trust the people that create it. Okay, so that's a skincare class, and the consultants are all sitting there going, yeah, I got classes like that. Boy, do I got classes like that. And I go, okay, now, girlfriends, let's think about your unit meeting. Because this is you at your unit meeting. Here's your director standing up here in front, and she's tap dancing away, and she wants to make everybody happy. And you dominant ones come in, and you want it to start on time, end on time, and you want her to get to the point, and you're tapping your watch when it's time for it to be over. If you've ever had anyone in your meeting tap their watch, you will know what I'm talking about. The influencing one wants a party. She wants balloons. She likes the music in the room. You can put her in charge of that because she's the party animal. And the steady one wants you to talk about the family and how this is all going to relate to her family, and she's going to be able to make changes in her life when she wants to at her own pace. As a consultant, all right? And the conscientious consultant wants to know the dates, the times, the places. She will check your flyers for typos before she will check them for what they say. And you can use her strengths because she's got strengths in that area. So you're going to be dealing with all of these different personality types, and it's important to relate to all those different personality types. But everything comes back to the basics, and it comes back to, for one thing, you leading. Mary Kay always said there are 3 ways to lead: example, example, and example. And that is truly the only way to lead. I want you to think, how many of you have ever flown on an airplane? When they do the briefing, when the flight attendant, I know they used to be stewardesses, but my husband was a Delta pilot for 17 years, so I know that they are called flight attendants. Was anyone ever a flight attendant? Okay, when you do the briefing, you take the oxygen mask and you say, if the oxygen mask should drop, put it on yourself first and then attend to the others with you. And why do you say that? Because if you're not breathing, you can't help the people around you. All right, visual. Put the oxygen mask on yourself first. If you are not selling and recruiting, you cannot build that unit. You are not leading by example. And here's the deal. How many of you saw the Titanic? If you are not selling and recruiting and building that unit, you are rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. You are working with those people, and 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 you are rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. That ship is going down, deck chairs and all. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? Okay, so we've got some visuals going on here. We've got the oxygen mask. We've got the Titanic. We've got the mantra, what if everyone, what if everyone, what if everyone. Okay, so what if everyone in your unit was just like you? Wow, pretty cool. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. And occasionally you're going to have a superstar come through your unit. I had a superstar come into my unit when I was a DIQ. Her name is Pat Fortenberry. She is one of the top nationals in Mary Kay, and she is my offspring. And had I chosen to not finish DIQ, she would have stayed in the parent unit, and she would not have been my offspring. So never hold anything back thinking, oh, I can do that later, I can do that later, I can do that later, because you never will know what you might have missed. People always used to ask me, gee, doesn't it bother you that Pat Fortenberry passed you by? Pink Cadillacs, diamond bar pins, went on top director trips, became a national 6 years before I did, was in the inner circle long before I was. And I would say to them, no, it doesn't bother me that she passed me by. She built my house. So, you want superstars like Pat Fortenberry, but they are few and far between. For the most part, you will always be the number one person in sales and recruiting in your unit. If you've got someone who is beating you in sales and recruiting, they are most likely on their way out of the unit. Now, you may have a salesperson who stays with you forever, who's tops in sales and beats you every year and so forth. but most of them will move on. And if someone's beating you in recruiting, she is most likely moving on. So you can color these people gone. You will continually be forevermore, and this is not the bad news, this is the good news, the one who's leading the way in your unit. And the good news is that when you're the one leading the way, no one can take it away from you. No one is going to come in that's cuter, thinner, younger, a relative or whatever, and take your job. If they want to come in and be cuter, thinner, younger, and better, fine. Let them, and they will make you more money. And you will have a great relationship, and you will just keep going higher. So that's the good news. The other good news is that when life happens, and life does happen to us at different times, your unit will go on, and you will have the credibility that they will continue to build the unit because they know that you're a worker. You're just not working right now because something tragic has happened or something fabulous has happened. Your daughter's getting married or you're getting married or, whatever. But you have the credibility with your unit. The other thing to keep in mind is that leadership is really, it's just selling and recruiting. Mary Kay said two main things. Nothing happens until somebody sells something and pass it on. Have you heard her voice in different things saying those two things? How many of you ever saw Mary Kay in person? Look around this room. These are the only people that ever saw Mary Kay in person. That's pretty amazing. So it is up to us to take that voice and that legacy and that legend, all of us, to listen to the words of wisdom and pass them on. And she said, nothing happens till somebody sells something. And that's true. Think of our economy. And she also said, pass it on. We wouldn't be in this room if somebody didn't pass it on to us. And I don't know about you, but I am so glad because it has certainly impacted my life. I think, my first 15 years were Tim's last 15 of his 20 in the Air Force, and during that time, we moved 20 times. I signed my agreement in Montgomery, Alabama. We moved back to Big Spring, Texas for him to finish his assignment there. A couple months later, they sent him back to Montgomery to teach the school that he had been attending, and then Dayton, Ohio for 6 months, San Antonio, Texas for 2 years, Alamogordo, New Mexico for 3 months, where I had a 4-year-old and a newborn who, had she been my first, would have been my last. And then from there, after that 3 months, we went to Phoenix for 5 months. And then Tim went to Germany for 3 years. The girls and I went to Columbus, Ohio, and commuted to Germany for 3 years. Then we went to Norfolk, Virginia for 6 months, back to Phoenix for 3 years. And then Tim's final assignment was a squadron commander in the F-16 in Utah for 2.5 years. And then when he retired from the Air Force, he went to Delta to fly, and we moved to the Dallas area. And about 6 months ago, we moved down to the Austin area. So if you're counting those moves, that first 15 years, 12 moves in 15 years, and I am not counting the rental house that we stayed in while we were waiting for our house to be finished being built or something. These are cross-country, cross-ocean kinds of moves. But the blessing in that was that I never got executivitis. It will be so easy to finish DIQ, to go home from leadership and have executivitis and think that you need to manage those people in your unit and just work with them. And what are they? Deck chairs. Okay, some of them are the fancy deck chairs, but most of them are deck chairs. And you can't do that. So I never got executivitis. Every time we moved, I started over with people, which was good. I didn't have anybody in front of me, so I started over again. But I kept the people in the other places. So we ended up with people all across the country, which is my next message to you. Right now, most of your unit is probably around you. If it's not, you are blessed beyond belief. It has either happened accidentally, or you have moved, or you have purposely made it happen. But you do not want your unit to be all in the same town with you. What if you lived in New Orleans? What if you lived in New York, New Jersey at 9/11? It could be something exciting. It can be the Olympics. How many of you live in Atlanta? I mean, when the Olympics were going on, it was all about the Olympics. It's hard to get people to pay attention to business when something else tragic or exciting is going on. So you want your people all over the country, because when it's hot in the north, it's lovely in the south. And when something's going on in the east, then it's fine in the west. So, you really want them spread out. The best way to do this, I think, is to do something like a Miss USA contest and have your unit earning charms. You can do those little Italian charms that they're $1, and they're the state charm. And what you can do is you can buy those little charms, and if she has a recruit, if you live in Alabama and she has a recruit in Oklahoma, she gets an Oklahoma charm for her little bracelet. It's $1. Why not? Then she's building a bracelet. And see, I'm so motivated by stuff like that. I would want bracelets the whole way up my arm. I would be asking my customers, who do you know in Illinois? With the miracle of science now, technology and all this, you can do those 3-way calls. You can do conference calls. So you want to build outside of where you live. If you don't travel on your own or you don't have contacts outside, people in your unit do. People in your customer base do. Make it fun, and they will help make it happen. The question is, are you committed to building this, or are you interested? Think of a steak and egg breakfast. The chicken is interested. The cow is committed. There's another visual for you. I want you to adopt a truly committed, no options, no excuses, no drama attitude. I am so tired of drama. I'm mad about this and I'm mad about that and somebody hurt my feelings and I'm too busy to do this now. My favorite definition of commitment is the ability to carry out a resolution long after the mood in which you made that resolution has left you. The ability to carry out a resolution long after the mood in which you made that resolution has left you. We just did New Year's resolutions, and very few people have even stuck with their resolutions. And what is it, the 10th of January? So, yeah. If you looked at my plaques on the wall for Unit Club, we used to get the diamond bar pin and the plaque for 200,000 wholesale. Now you have to do 300,000, but 200,000 wholesale was when the basic was like $26, life changes. So you would see plaques that said 200, 300, 350, 400, 450, 600, 650, and 700. But you would not see them in that order. They went like this. How our business goes, ups and downs, but growing. And I think that's why people outside, our life is like this. But pretty soon, our lows are higher than most people's ups, and they wonder what we're on. They do not get it. But you're going to have ups and downs. It's just that consistently moving forward because you are committed, knowing that you're going to have ups and downs, but moving forward. It's your activity that has to be visible to people. Now, your unit newsletter can be a one-page flyer. It doesn't matter. But I recommend that when you've got your unit wholesale section and your unit retail and number of faces and stuff like that, and star consultant, that you put your name in there too. Only if you've done it. But you put your name in there too. And usually I was the number one in recruiting or the number one in sales during my unit at any given time. But my name went at the bottom of the list. I didn't put it in at the top or the middle or wherever it would have fallen. I put it at the bottom for what my wholesale was, what my retail was. How many phases did I do? That's up to you. But see, I think that I know that they're watching you. I know they are. And when you come into your unit meeting, you know how when you do a skincare class and you're waiting for people to come and it should have already started, but you're punishing the people that were there on time if you don't start with something. So you start giving them little tips on things or something like that. Do the same thing at your unit meeting. If your unit meeting starts at 7 at night and not everybody's there and you know that they're coming, what you do if you don't start it on time is you reinforce the people that are late. And you punish the people that are on time. So you bonus the people that were on time. A classic example I use is, and it's always a story about something that has to do with you out there running the business. And it can be a story that you told 6 months ago and you just say, oh, something happened to me today and it reminded me of, because now you've got new people in front of you. But I was out there doing a delivery once and I was sitting down in this lady's home and I had flats on and I felt this little nuzzling at the back of my heel. And I was sitting on the sofa, with a skirt on it, and I thought, okay, what's going on back here? And I said, please tell me that you have a pet kitten or something, because I'm thinking roaches. I don't do roaches. She says, no, I have a ferret. Well, I happen to think ferrets are cute. I don't want one, but I think they're cute. And this ferret was back there nuzzling the back of my heel. Well, she's lucky that I wasn't rodent-phobic or something, because I would have gone, and it would have been the end of the ferret. But I tell silly stories like that. What does that say to them? I was out doing a delivery. I was working. I was out there. Tell a funny story about a skincare class. Tell a tip that you picked up from a customer at a skincare class. Tell something so that the people that are there early or on time, you're starting the meeting, you're getting it going. And it makes it exciting for them to be on time. I always do an early bird drawing. 15 minutes before the meeting is to start, I have a drawing for something. And it could be something really little one week, but it could be something pretty nice another week. It might be something that you got a Star Consultant Prize for 3 years ago and you've never used it, and it's really nice because you know what? When you give something really nice away every once in a while, they're going to pay a lot of attention. It could be sales aids. It could be anything. But an early bird drawing every week, just get yourself a roll of those tickets and do the drawing. But of course, you don't do the drawing until about 30 minutes into the meeting so that all the people that are really late get to see it too. Doesn't that make you nuts? And the thing is, here's the deal. There are oftentimes reasons that someone is really, it's not an excuse, it's a reason that they're really late. So you don't want to punish them because they don't deserve punishment. That's okay. And I tell my people, it's okay with me. If you walk in late or you leave early, that's okay with me as long as you do it quietly. Because I trust your integrity and I just believe that there's a reason for it. But she's not going to get in on the drawing. And she's not going to get the cute stories. So she's going to do her best to be there on time. Keep in mind that a woman's life changes every 30 days. How many of you are in Sabrina Goodwin Monday's area? I love that woman. She had a conference call for our sales directors and she said that and I thought, I've been around the block a few times and I have never heard anybody say that. I think it's true. A woman's life changes every 30 days. You tell her I adore her. Because it does. Does it not? Something exciting is happening or some other fat has hit the fan. Is that not true? And you're going to go home and your life is going to have changed. You just don't know it yet. Something good is going to happen, something bad is going to happen, but it's going to be something. So keep that in mind with consultants and keep it in mind with prospects because those are the people that you want to hold with an open hand, but you want prospects and consultants and customers, you want them to know that you're there for them and you care about them. All right, I want to tell you something that Mary Kay always said. If a woman can take charge of her time is a huge thing, but bigger than that is her emotions. Women are either higher than a kite or they're lower than a chalk mark. And she always used to talk about the joke that this guy came in and he said to this woman, "You women take everything personally." And she said, "We do not." Duh. Here are my top 10 suggestions for getting your emotional act together because honestly, that's going to be the most important thing for you to do in building your future in Mary Kay. Number 1 is quit taking it personally. Quit taking everything personally. Now, take it, listen, learn from it. I have had to hear things that I didn't want to hear, but I had to hear them and I have tried to learn from them. I'm going to shut my eyes right now and I'm going to tell you something that those of you who are chewing gum are going to take personally. I could point out everyone in this room that's chewing gum right now because I have seen it. I know what color it is. It's not attractive, not professional. So don't take that personally. Just quit doing it. Or do it so discreetly that nobody knows you're chewing it. Don't take things personally. We take the no thanks, I'm not interested, the everything, you put on your raincoat. Quit taking it personally. You can make these cute little signs for your unit and hand them out. Get like a 3x5 card and print it out with the Q-tip solution. Quit taking it personally. Q-tip, quit taking it personally. Tape a Q-tip to it. Make it fun and people learn. I didn't think that up. I don't know where that came from, but it's cute. Number 2, quit feeling guilty. Women can feel guilty about anything. Give us a topic. We can feel guilty about it. Quit feeling guilty about it. Either fix it or move forward anyway. And that has to do with being in the moment too. Number 3, ask and take advice only from those who are where you want to be. Do not call your sister sales director who's not making it and ask her advice on whether you should go to leadership conference. Unless you're just looking for someone to make it okay for you. But realize that you need to talk to people that are where you want to be, not anyone else. Number 4, realize that you are responsible for your own success. You have plenty of leaders out there that you can hitch your wagon to. Number 5, realize that you are not responsible for anyone else's success. You can be the most excellent leader in the world, and I want you to be that. But you can lead a horse to water, and if it doesn't choose to drink, what do you have? A wet horse. And it still hasn't drunk. Number 6, don't compare your weaknesses with other strengths. We're so good at that. Number 7, make a decision and stick with it. Make a decision. That is the one thing that a dominant personality can't handle, is when people won't make decisions. Then they don't even have to make the decision you want them to make. Just make a decision. Number 8, be in the moment. Keep that in mind with the cell phones and everything else. Is when you're doing something, do it. When you're out doing a skincare class, don't worry about what's going on at home. And when you're at leadership conference, touch base, but you're here. And when you're home and you're with your family, be in the moment with them. When long before we had call waiting, caller ID, all of that stuff, I think as a sales director, you need 2 different phone lines into your house. If you don't already have one, the phone line that you have right now, you need to keep as your business line, and you need to get a new line that's just your family phone, because your customers already have this phone. And if you get a new line and you make it your business line, then they have both phones. And you need to be able to separate yourself from business. If you have sat down to eat dinner, you need to not answer the phone. Do you know what I'm saying? I just think that's vital. If you're putting your kids to bed, you need to not answer the phone. And if you have 2 separate phone lines, then if it's a business line, you don't have to answer it. And the great thing about that is you can tell your customers and your consultants, here's my phone number, you can call it 24/7. When do your customers realize that they need cleanser? Midnight, 6 in the morning. When do they need makeup mascara? 6 in the morning. And they don't call you because they don't want to call you that early, and then 3 days later they've been out for 3 days and now it's an emergency. There are no cosmetic emergencies. And if you have a line that they can call 24/7 because they know they're not going to bother you, they will call that line. And if you have a family line, you're going to have to train your family not to call you on the business line. If they call you on the business line, you say, okay, I've got a new family number, here it is. I'm not taking family calls on this line, call me back on this other one and get off the phone. Don't talk to them on that line. Some of you are too nice. All right. 9, know that you will have personal obstacles along the way, many personal obstacles, and the people have personal obstacles. It will always be something. It will always, always, always be something. Read Gilda Radner's book. Do y'all remember Gilda Radner from Saturday Night Live? Oh, one of my favorite women in the world. When she was dying of ovarian cancer, she wrote a great book. It's always something. It is always something. But that's why we do this, Mary Kay, so that we can work it around the always somethings. Number 10, know that people will have obstacles. Colin Powell said something I think is excellent. Leadership is solving problems. The day that soldiers, that's consultants, directors, stop bringing you their problems is the day you have stopped leading them. They have either lost confidence that you can help them, or they think that you don't care. And in either case, that is failure. Now, that doesn't mean you're to put out a shingle and listen to everything forever. It means, I tell directors, you can tell me anything. I can handle anything. You can tell me anything, and I am not going to think less of you, and I will help you figure it out. But I'm not going to spend hours and hours and hours on it. I mean, Mary Kay would say, okay, tell me. You'd tell her, and she'd okay, now what are you going to do about it? I can't counsel you that much in your personal life, but I can counsel you in your Mary Kay business. So work from discipline. Make a commitment to yourself. What are you going to do? I want to close. You asked me about the favorite trips. Our family is all about trips together, and Tim and I love to travel, and of course with his 20 years in the Air Force we did a lot of traveling too, but because of our Mary Kay career, Tim and I have enjoyed cruises in the Mediterranean, Baltic, and French Polynesia. We've had days on the beach in Italy, Spain, and Tahiti. We've gone scuba diving in Bora Bora. We've gone horseback riding in Canada and at the Greenbrier. We've gone heli-skiing in Canada. That's the kind where the helicopter takes you up and you don't jump out, you get out, and then you ski down and they take you up again. It's pretty wild. We've gone shopping in Monte Carlo, Hong Kong, and Puerto Rico. We've seen the historical sites in Barcelona, Croatia, and Athens. We've gone on carriage rides in Bermuda. We've done fine dining in Rome. We've done all of these things, the two of us, because of Mary Kay. But let me tell you what our family has done with us because of Mary Kay. Days on the beach in Italy, Spain. Scuba diving in Cancun, Oahu, New Zealand. Horseback riding in Australia, Oahu, Colorado. Skiing in the United States, Canada, Germany, Switzerland, Austria. Shopping in Berlin and Liechtenstein. Do you even know where Liechtenstein is? Seeing historical sites in Istanbul. Our entire family, including our 18-month-old granddaughter. Carriage rides in Williamsburg, New Orleans, and London. Fine dining in Paris, Vienna, and New York. All of that with our family. Now, maybe travel doesn't turn you on, but it turns me on. And it's a whole new way of traveling when you're in Mary Kay. It is a whole different style. And you can have it. If you don't want to travel, stay home and build a fabulous home. We just moved into about $1.4 million home on the lake in Austin. We own 7.5 acres. We own the cove that we're on Lake Travis. It's a beautiful stone and timber and glass home. And we literally walked into it. We weren't even looking to move from the Dallas area. And we walked into it, stood in the family room and said, we could move in here. We'll take it. and we bought it. And we had not sold our other home, and we bought it. That's Mary Kay. We couldn't do that without Mary Kay. If you will do the work you ought to do, when you ought to do it, you can do the things you want to do when you want to do them. I promise you that.